Hey fam squad. So today we're going to pack with me. Today you're gonna pack with me for my trip to Prague. How exciting. I'm really excited. So the thing is, I just checked the weather and it's gonna be around 70, but it's gonna look to be a little bit rainy. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm only going for 3 days, obviously with a small bag, so we have to plan accordingly. I think I'm gonna plan all my outfits around this jacket. That being said, and then maybe I'll also wear my brown boots that are like long, that way I can wear them in the rain. So I think I'm gonna bring my brown pants. Because this with the jacket would be adorable. Then, guys, I'm such a big fan of Cat's Eye right now. To be honest. Okay, guys, whole separate thing. I'm gonna tell you my inner thoughts as well since we're here. One of my friends was like, love your YouTube videos. I just know you're gonna get better with time. And I was like, ooh, backhanded compliment. Love that. Right. But I didn't take offense to it because I feel like I'm confident enough in this point in my life where, like, I don't take offense to things that I know that are not malicious. You know what I mean? So, yeah. I understand. Like, I also personally understand that my YouTube content is a little bit, like, it's not super edited. I mean, I've tried doing the editing thing, you know, that was, like, really big in, like, 2019. Like, in 2019, I was making videos for my friends like that, and it was super funny, and it was with the times, and blah, blah, blah. Now, in these times, you know, I feel like so many of the videos that you consume are either, like, long-form podcasts that, you know, have people that have something to say. You know, this whole, like, democratization of people having, like, personal brands and everyone being an influencer, I feel like so many people have a scripted story to tell and they have something to say and they're prepared, and, you know, that's what gets them to have audiences, right? Because it's a formula, you know, you provide value to people in that way. And I understand also, since coming into my own as having a job, I realized that, like, you know, to be a salesperson means that you have to add value to people's lives, and in general, everything that gets paid for adds value in some way, you know? Like, of course, everything is, like, a social construct to some extent, like, adding value for, like, for example, like, beauty companies, they add value to your life because they've given you this idea that you are not beautiful without them, right? I'm not going to get into that discussion now, and we're just going to chalk it up to adding value, you know? What is value is subjective, but objectively, everything that makes money adds value, you know? And we'll keep it as a blanket statement, aware that value is a subjective concept. Further, I was thinking about it and I was like, okay, right, Emma Chamberlain, you know, there's an argument on the internet, or that Emma Chamberlain really revolutionized what is influencer content and what is the relationship between a, you know, watcher and a creator, because she was so herself on camera and her editing style was very hers, and blah, 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 you know. Insert all the arguments here if you don't already know them. I hope I can't summarize it actively, or else this would turn into that type of video, which you can watch those other videos that already exist. And that's my point. I could create videos that already exist arguing similar things and adding, you know, a footnote. Or create my own videos in the style of someone else's content that would, you know, maybe I would enjoy making it, but maybe it wouldn't feel like mine. And so, at the end of the day, what my friend said is objectively good criticism, because I do need to keep on making videos to find, not necessarily make my videos better, because better is a subjective thing, and I don't want to reach, like, a objective, like, good content, because even objective good content isn't necessarily successful because of the mass amount of influencers that are in nowadays. So the only thing I can do is be so objectively and authentically myself. And, of course, that comes with time making videos to find out what is myself, right? But at the same time, like, I have to figure out, and, you know, the desire to be different is objectively a desire that's maybe would lead me to create content that necessarily isn't authentic. But, you know, authenticity is the thing of the time, and who knows how long this will go, and who knows if the shift from, I mean, people would argue, I think a lot of people would say that right now we're in an era of authenticity, where authenticity is what provides value, and that's a shift. That's a cultural state of mind, way of looking at things that is not necessarily inherently always prevalent in the in trend. I don't know what another way to say it, whatever is popular. So who knows when the shift, and then further to my point, so authenticity is the way of the times now, but to some extent, and to a large extent, the authenticity on the internet is performative authenticity. All you hear about, like, the performative male, all of that is performative authenticity, as much as it is like performing a stereotype, because people want to identify with that stereotype, thus they become that stereotype, and that's performative until it actually becomes you, right? And to some extent, like, any form of creation of content is performance, it might be the performance of your own story, the performance of you yourself, right? And of course that's not my goal. I don't want to perform being myself, but at the end of the day, like, I cannot inhibit the fact that is just bound to happen by the fact that I'm making content, and thus it'll be a performance, because when you see me in person, I might not say the exact same thing to you, and that's why I'm putting it on social media, because I'm doing it all in my room and performing it for a camera, right? So then I'm like, okay, this is like a different topic. This goes back to my original thought, which is like, okay, how do I make my content different, and that, and to some extent, revolutionize it in that way, or not revolutionize it. How do I make content that's authentic to me, and that is what I want to make, but it's also inherently different to whatever is else that I'm consuming, or that's already on the internet, or that doesn't exist yet, And by creating something that doesn't exist yet, maybe it's not authentic to me, Maybe it's just something that I want to try that's different because I think it's the way that things are moving. And so what that thing is that I think I should do is long-form brain rot, which is exactly what I think my channel is. I think it's long-form brain rot. I also think that it's a way for my friends who live at a distance from me to spend time with me, despite the fact that none of them watch this. But whatever. That's fine. I'm literally making it for myself. I like making YouTube videos. I like having something that exists outside of me, that is me, And that's what this YouTube channel is. That's what my Instagram is, And I don't have a desire to, I feel like to some extent Instagram is somewhat, not performative, that's like a word that's overused, but it is a performance, because I have two Instagrams. I have the Instagram that I've had since I was like 10 years old, that everyone from my hometown follows, and a bunch of people that I met when I was first in university follow, And I stopped using that one because it felt like I was being watched too much, and it felt like that one was too much of a like curated version of me, versus like my outfit Instagram, which I used more often anyway, and was just like me every day. And now, of course, it's not, because I don't use Instagram every day. And to some extent, I'm like, okay, I want to post it on Instagram, but it's like, why do I post it on Instagram other than, because like, I don't care who sees it, I just want to kind of like make it my little piece of aesthetic. So I think instead of making Instagram posts, which I've thought about before, is like, I want to create mini books. And then maybe I'll put them on my Substack, like my mini photo books, which is basically just going to be like a carousel of images that I post on Instagram, and maybe my caption. So maybe I'm going to start doing that, but instead of like making it like a Substack post or a blog post, maybe I'll make it like a mini book, which you can download from my Substack. I really like that idea. I might do that. Anyways, back to planning my outfits for Prague with me. So we have my jacket, we have my pants. Anyways, actually, to conclude all this, I believe that I'm creating long-form brain rot, because despite the fact that brain rot is like very fast-paced and blah blah blah, I think the thing that can separate me is the fact that my content is just extremely unedited and unfiltered, just like me. Like, the whole thing, unedited nonsense. It's crazy how much everything goes back to each other. Like, I wasn't even thinking about this when I was writing it, but if you go to my very first blog post, it's called like the meaning of unedited nonsense. I don't even remember what it's called, but unedited nonsense is the name of my Instagram account, which I've had since I was 16, 15ish. And I created the name when I was 18 though. Before then it was like called like Sharfits. I don't even remember what the old names were. But I always go back to this idea of like wanting to be unedited, wanting to show my most authentic self and blah 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 blah. And inherently I never will, you know, because I don't actually want you to know the real me, you know? I want you to know the persona that I've created that I want to be me, you know? And by calling it unedited nonsense, I am making you aware of the fact that it's nonsense and that it's, I guess, literally unedited, but it's actually not me. That's the whole point. It's like kind of ironic because I'm Gen Z. Like everything has to be ironic to hide from the fact that I'm trying to show you who I really am. I'm trying to show you who I really am by baiting it to you, and then when you latch on, I'll be like, just kidding, that's not me. You got tricked. Right? And that's the same thing we do in dating all the time as well. And that's the same thing we do in life. That's just how things are. But I think that's just like my existential dilemma is like dealing with the fact that I have to show up with a mask every day, but wanting to show up with my real self, but also not wanting to show up with my real self because I know everyone else is wearing a mask and I don't want to be the one who's not wearing the mask because that's embarrassing. So it's like kind of an ironic thing where I'm like, hey, this is my mask that I'm wearing, but like but it's not a mask, but it actually is, like, you know, that whole thing. I don't know if it made sense. Anyway, back to planning my outfit. Okay, so now we have to pick some tops to bring with me. Let me just bring this basic t-shirt, cropped, turtleneck, this dress, which I can layer, and I just need to bring a second pair of pants, or like a skirt or something. I'll bring this as my going out bag.
Back to planning my outfits for prom with me.